When we come with that heat, we got skip on the.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to the first edition of Public Fades, where what I'm going to do is basically talk about the NFL slate coming up on Sunday, week 2 of the NFL. I got a little thing going, and I don't know if it was just beginner's luck last week or what, but basically what Public Fades is, it's in the name. We're fading the public, all right? So when I see 75% or more of the money and the bets going on one team in a certain matchup, I'm going to go the other way, because what do we all know? Whether you're at a casino, whether you're placing sports bets, the dealers always win. The sports books always win. So basically the guidelines, 75% or more of the money and bets are on one team. Home underdogs are a plus. Pick one game per time slot. Last week, I was 4-0 on these plays. I started with the Cowboys plus 8.5 on Philly in the opening game last week. Dallas had a great chance to win that game. If it wasn't for CeeDee Lamb dropping a couple balls at the end, Dak was dotting them up. I feel like that could have played in Dallas's favor. Game 2. Chargers plus 3, not plus 3.5, plus 3, okay? Chargers plus 3, that also hit. Chargers won outright. So then we move on to Sunday, and in the early slot, like I said, I try to just do one per time slot because not all of them are going to hit. Nothing is 100% accurate, but I guess that's why we gamble, huh? That's why we play on Sundays, any given Sunday. All right. Anyways, Sunday morning. Browns plus 5.5 against the Bengals. Cincinnati, I like that one because Cincinnati hadn't won an opening game in who knows how long. Plus 5.5 for the Browns. They almost won that game too. 17-16 was that final. Cash the spread. And then in the afternoon slot, I think there was a rookie quarterback making his first start. Didn't look that great, but he was going up against another young quarterback in Bo Nix. I had the Titans plus 8.5 at Denver, mile high. Denver's defense has been one of the best in the league for the last couple years. That one cashed too. Titans lost, but it was 20-12. That works for me. And I would have been 5-0 in the NFL on the weekend if the Ravens didn't blow the game against the Bills Sunday night. Let me just say, if there's ever a cash out option where you're only losing a few dollars, go ahead and take that cash out. Just go ahead and do that, please, for me. The slate this week is a little weird because most of these games that I have written down are all in the 1 o'clock slate. I will give you my best picks, I guess, the ones that I like the most. And then there will also be a few more that we can talk about. And if you want to play those, go ahead. Always bet responsibly. Please don't blame me for losing your house, okay? My unit size isn't that big. I just do it for the love of the game. So if I go over this week, if I don't hit a single bet, I might delete this video and never do this again. But hey, this is why we play. I have one game in the afternoon slot. There are two that I could look at, but I don't really like that Chiefs and Eagles game. But hey, why don't we get into it, shall we? Beginning at 1 o'clock, there are two plays that I really like, and 3 plays I kind of really like. 2 plays that you can play if you want to. We'll start with those. Bears at the Lions, minus 6.5, 1 o'clock. 77% of the money, 67% of the bets are on Detroit. So both teams 0-1 on the spread last week. The Lions looked real bad. I don't know if, I'm a Packers fan. Packers looked really good, but the Lions also looked really bad. So this will be a test for both of these teams. Bears coming off that Monday Night Football loss where they basically just kind of gave the game away to J.J. McCarthy. But both teams 0-1 on the spread coming into this one. Lions looked real bad. They looked so bad that I don't think they should be favored by a touchdown on anybody. The line did open up at -4.5. Now it swung 2 points in Detroit's favor. I guess that's the Bears, right? +6.5. Caleb Williams, I don't like him. I don't like the Bears. Don't like the Lions. With them being down an offensive and defensive coordinator, I think that really showed last week against the Packers. Give me the Bears +6.5 in that one. Just one to, get us started. A little appetizer. 49ers at the Saints. 49ers favored -3 at 1 o'clock. 78% of the money, 73% of the bets are on San Francisco. Little tidbit, it's not my favorite on the slate, but I do like the Saints in the dome. Brock Purdy is ruled out for this one. Mac Jones will get the start. Niners looked pretty sluggish last week, as many teams do in the opening game. Seattle's a pretty good team. I feel like they're going to do very well. We'll get to Seattle in a second, by the way. 49ers at the Saints. Saints +3. It's not my favorite, but with the way it's set up, Spencer Rattler, I don't think he's the worst quarterback in the league. Being at home with that Superdome advantage, Saints fans always go crazy in the dome. Saints ain't out of it yet. This time last year, they started out 2-0 before their season just absolutely derailed with Derek Carr. They still got Alvin Kamara. They're going to be looking to get him going. Spencer Rattler had a chance to cover and really tie the game, possibly send it into overtime last week against the Cardinals. Wasn't able to get it done. If the game wasn't on the line, they could have kicked a field goal there and, covered that way. But they weren't going to do that, obviously, with the game on the line. But yeah, I like the Saints here, +3. I feel like with the number being so low, I can't remember what it opened up at this week, but now that Brock Purdy's been ruled out, we see the line -3 for the 49ers. There's a reason it's that low. I feel like also George Kittle being out. I feel like if the 49ers were super healthy going into this game, we might see it more like 5.5 or so. So I think the line being that low signifies something that maybe the sports books know that we don't. Now we move on to the Seahawks at the Steelers. -3. Aaron Rodgers looked great last week. I'm a big Raji guy. The Rod God, Perk Rodgers. I'm going against him. 86% of the money. That's a big percentage right there. 78% of the bets, all on Pittsburgh, -3, as they host a Seahawks team that I feel like is going to be pretty good this year with Sam Darnold. They got Mike McDonald calling the plays. Cooper Kupp out there. They're going to be looking to get him going. Kenneth Walker III, Zach Charbonnet. They got some weapons. They really do. Pittsburgh, I felt like was going to be one of the best defenses coming into the league or coming into the year. They didn't look good last week against the Jets. Let up 32 points, kicked a game winner for Chris Boswell, 60-yard game winner last week to beat the Jets. They didn't cover the -3 in New York. That was a Rodgers revenge game. He threw for 4 touchdowns, 200-something yards, looked great, no interceptions, looked like vintage Aaron Rodgers. I think they're in a huge letdown spot this week against Seattle. I think Seattle is going to be better than people think this year. When you see one game go one way and it's like the Steelers look so good offensively last week. They put up the 34 points or whatever it was. I think the final was 34-32. Rodgers had a lot to prove that week. I'm not saying that he doesn't have a lot to prove this week, but like I said, huge letdown spot for Pittsburgh in this one. And I'll take the Seahawks +3 in this 1 o'clock slate. So that is 3 plays that we've gotten so far. Now to the moneymakers. In my opinion, the 2 best games as far as the guidelines go for my model, 75% or more of the money and bets on one team. No home underdogs in this one, except for the Saints game. But a lot of home favorites in this one. So I'm going to have a tough time picking a favorite bet but it's definitely going to be one of these two. We'll begin with the Ravens hosting the Browns, minus 11.5. Guys, they're all professionals. Everybody out on that field is a professional football player. They made it to the NFL. There's only one Lamar Jackson, but he's going to have to go up against Myles Garrett in that front seven of the Browns. I see this being a low-scoring game, okay? I think that plays into the Browns' hands with this plus 11.5, where with all those points, we got 79% of the money, 64% of the bets on Baltimore. The Browns did cover last week, like I said, plus 5.5 against the Bengals. Joe Flacco, he had 2 interceptions. Wasn't his fault. Joe Flacco looked pretty good last week. His 2 interceptions they went off the hands of the wide receivers that he threw the ball to, got picked. Ravens looked dominant last week, Sunday night, until the last 10 minutes of that Bills game. They let up 16 unanswered points. 11.5 is way too much. But Lamar could Lamar. So I may be eating my words come Monday morning. But also, you think back to last year. The Ravens were in a similar spot. Game 2, they lost game 1 to the Chiefs. They could have, a touchdown there at the end. But what was his name? The tight end, not Mark Andrews, but Isaiah Likely, toe on the line in the back of the end zone. So, and then week 2, they were favored 8.5 against the Raiders in week 2 last week. Everybody put their money on the Ravens. They lost outright, 26-23, dropping them to 0-2 last year. They're 0-1 right now. Do I think they're going to lose this game? Nah, I don't think they'll lose. Do I think they win by 12 or more points? Nah, I don't. Give me the Browns plus 11.5. Man, it feels good. I'm glad that we are back into the NFL action. I thought that was going to be the play of the day. I really did. And then as I was going down, looking at the list, the slate Sunday, there's one game that really caught my eye. It started out as minus 5.5. Now it's moved down to minus 4.5. Not really sure why it moved in that way with 91% of the money, 84% of the bets on the Dallas Cowboys at home against the Giants. Minus 4.5 now is the line for the Cowboys. Dallas did go 2-0 against the Giants last season. They only covered one of those games. That was the game at home on Thanksgiving. Dallas looked very, very good last Thursday against the Philadelphia Eagles. But like I said last week, I just felt that 8.5 was too much for a team coming off a Super Bowl. A lot of times, you got that Super Bowl hangover. It was banner night. You lose I didn't know this going into the game, but the Eagles lost their best player on defense before the game even started, essentially. Jalen Carter, who spat on Dak. Yeah. I've already given my takes on that. Go look at episode 39, $1 Million Radio, came out this week from Jerry's Barbershop. But like I said, 91, I don't think I emphasized that enough. 91% of the money, as we are here on being recorded on a Thursday, 91% of the money, 84% of the bets on the Cowboys. I don't like it. I don't like how the Giants looked last week against the Commanders. I don't like them now having to go on the road to Dallas after Dallas looked pretty good. But I think that these two reasons that I just said, that is why the Cowboys have 91% of the money on them. And that is why I'm fading the public. Give me the Giants plus 4.5. If you want to buy it to 5.5 like the original line was when it came out, I don't blame you for it. I might do the same. But yeah, I don't like it. But that's why we do this. That's why we got public fades here on $1 Million Radio. Giants plus 4.5. That, I think, is going to be my play of the week. Like I said, I don't really like the late afternoon slate as far as the model goes. You got the Chiefs hosting the Eagles Super Bowl rematch. That line is minus 1.5 in favor of Philadelphia on the road. It's going to be tough to see the Chiefs winning, coming back from Brazil last week. Maybe they're over their jet lag at this point. Actually, I don't think the jet lag works north and south. I don't think the time zones were that different. Anyways, you get what I'm saying. Big travel week for the Chiefs that they're getting off of. But it's like 77% of the bets are on money. 77% of the money is on the Eagles. That may be one that I ride with the public. I don't know. I'm staying away from that game. Just not even gonna. Don't even know why I brought it up, but that is one of the games on the afternoon slate on Sunday. But another game, it's not my favorite on the slate. All right, it's not my favorite. This is gross. This is how you know I'm a degenerate. Not really, but kind of. Cardinals host the Panthers, -6.5 for Arizona. 85% of the money, 74% of the bets are on Arizona. I think that the number was percentage-wise was pretty similar last week against the Saints, as the Cardinals were favored -6.5. Like I said, they held off the Saints and Spencer Rattler there at the very end of the game to hold on to the cover and the win. They covered 6.5 last week. They're favored 6.5 again this week. Do I think the Cardinals are one of those teams that are so good that they're just going to beat these lesser teams by a touchdown every week? I don't. Like I said, really the only game in the afternoon slate that I see going this way. So give me the Panthers. They scored 10 points last week against Jacksonville. I don't like it. But this is why we do it. Panthers +6.5, buy a point down to +7.5 if you want to. That would have been a cover for the Cardinals or for the Saints last week if you got it at 7.5. But yeah, Panthers +7.5. So there you have it. Public Fades, $1 Million Radio. Please bet responsibly. Like I said, 2 plays of the day for me. Browns +11.5. Giants +4.5, 5.5 if you want to buy it down. But these are the plays that I'm going to be going with. So if you've watched this far, appreciate it. This is something new that hopefully that we'll keep doing week by week. But if it don't go good this week, I might not do it again. Let's just say that. But like I said, 4-0 last week. So let's try to go, how many games was this? 6? Did we go over 6 games? Yeah. We're going 6-0, baby. Public Fades, $1 Million Radio. And as always, bet responsibly. Keep your house. And we'll see you next time.